The rain started before sunrise. It wasn't heavy, but enough to soak anyone who didn't have an umbrella. Rose wrapped her old scarf around her head and held her tray of oranges close to her chest. She needed to sell something that morning. Hunger doesn't wait for dry weather. The street was quiet except for the sound of water dripping from the zinc roofs. Her slippers splashed through puddles as she walked toward the main road. She hummed a small tune to distract herself from the cold. Life had not been easy since her mother's sickness started. As she reached the corner near the bus stop, she noticed something strange. A man was lying beside the gutter, not moving. At first, she thought he was one of those drunk men who slept there after a long night. But something about the way his hand was stretched out didn't look normal. Rose dropped her tray carefully and bent beside him. His face was pale, and his shirt was soaked in rainwater. "Sir, are you okay?" she asked softly. No answer came. She touched his arm. It was cold. Fear gripped her heart, but she couldn't walk away. She looked around for help, but the street was empty. Most people were still indoors because of the rain. Rose took a deep breath, tightened her scarf, and decided to do what she could. She couldn't let the man die there alone, not while she still had strength in her body. Rose dropped her oranges by the side and tried to lift the man, but he was too heavy for her. She struggled for a while, shouting for help. "I beg, somebody help me, oh." Her voice echoed through the empty street, but no one answered. Just then, a kiki rider drove slowly by, trying to avoid the puddles. Rose waved her hands with all her strength. "Oga, please stop. Somebody fainted here." The man stopped and jumped down quickly. Together, they managed to lift the stranger into the kiki, his head resting weakly against the seat. "Take us to the nearest hospital, I beg," Rose said, holding the man's hand tightly as the kiki moved. She didn't even think about the cost. Her heart told her that a human life was more important than money at that moment. When they reached a small clinic, the nurse rushed out and started asking questions Rose didn't know how to answer. "What's his name? Where did you find him?" Rose shook her head. "I just saw him on the road. Please help him first." They carried him inside, and the doctor started working immediately. Rose stood by the door, wet and shivering. She whispered a prayer silently. "God, please save this man. I don't even know him, but please don't let him die." Hours passed before anyone came out of the ward. Rose sat on a wooden bench in the corridor, watching nurses walk in and out. She hadn't sold any oranges that day, and her stomach was already rumbling. Still, she refused to go home. She wanted to know if the man would leave. The doctor finally stepped out, wiping his hands. "He's stable now," he said, and Rose's heart jumped with relief. "But we need to buy some drugs and pay for observation." Rose froze. She had only 1,200 naira in her pocket, all she had for the week. She looked down at her wet slippers and sighed deeply. Then she took out the money and handed it to the nurse. "Use this one first. I will come back later," she said quietly. The nurse looked at her with pity but nodded. Rose left the hospital and went back to her oranges, hoping to sell enough before evening to cover the rest of the bill. But the rain continued, and the street stayed empty. That night, she slept hungry but peaceful. Somewhere in her heart, she felt she had done something good. What she didn't know was that her small act of kindness had already started changing her story forever. The next morning, Rose woke up feeling tired, but her heart was light. She put on her old dress, wrapped her scarf, and went back to the market with her tray of oranges. The streets were wet from last night's rain, but the sun was slowly coming out. Her first customers were slow to come. People were busy with their own lives, ignoring her humble tray of fruits. Rose tried not to feel discouraged. She kept smiling and calling out, hoping someone would buy something soon. Mid-morning, She heard the bell of the clinic she had visited. Curiosity pulled her toward it. She remembered the man she had helped, and something told her that life sometimes returns in unexpected ways. She entered quietly and asked the nurse if the man was okay. The nurse smiled and nodded. Yes, he is fine now. You can see him if you want. Rose's heart raced as she walked toward his room. When she saw him lying in bed, looking healthy but still weak, a wave of relief washed over her. She smiled and whispered, "I'm glad you are alive." The man's eyes opened slowly, and for the first time, he looked at her with gratitude. The man tried to sit up, and Rose rushed to help him. "Don't try to move too much," she said gently. "You need rest." He nodded, his eyes never leaving hers, as if he wanted to say something important. You helped me," he said softly. Rose smiled shyly. "I just did what anyone would do," she replied. "No one should die on the street while I can help." The man's eyes glistened with respect. The nurse gave them a moment alone, and the man continued, "I don't know your name, but I will never forget what you have done." Rose felt warmth in her chest, happy that he was okay, but she didn't realize how life-changing that moment would be. He struggled to speak a little more. "I will make sure your kindness is rewarded. You don't even know how much you have helped me today." Rose shook her head, unsure of what he meant. She left his room feeling hopeful but confused. How could anyone reward her? She had only done what she thought was right. But little did she know, fate had already started writing a new chapter in her life. After leaving the hospital, Rose returned to the market. Customers were slow, and her tray of oranges felt heavier than usual. The memory of the man she had saved lingered in her mind, giving her hope that one day, something good might happen. Her stomach grumbled, and she sighed. Life had always been a struggle. Her mother was sick, her money was tight, and every day felt like a battle. But helping the stranger reminded her that being kind was never wasted, no matter how poor she was. She walked to her favorite spot, hoping to sell more oranges. Some children came running, laughing, and buying a few fruits from her tray. Rose smiled, happy for the small blessings of the day. By evening, she had only sold half of her oranges. She packed them carefully and started walking home, tired and wet. The streets were empty now, and she prayed silently for better days. When she reached her small house, her mother greeted her with a weak smile. "Did you sell well today?" she asked. Rose shook her head, but her heart felt light. "I helped someone, Mama. And that feels better than money." One afternoon, as Rose was arranging her oranges, a shiny car stopped by the roadside. A man in a suit stepped out, looking around as if searching for something. Rose's heart skipped a beat. She had seen him before, the man she had saved in the rain. He walked closer, holding a small envelope. Rose's hands trembled slightly. "Are you Rose?" he asked politely. She nodded, unsure if he was real or if she was dreaming. "I want to thank you properly," he said, handing her the envelope. "You helped me when I needed it most. This is just a small token of appreciation." Rose opened it carefully. Inside were bills that could cover her mother's hospital expenses for months. She looked up, tears filling her eyes. "But I only did what anyone would do," she whispered. The man smiled warmly. "Not everyone would. That's why I remember you." For the first time, Rose felt hope. Maybe life had more in store for her than just struggle. Her heart felt lighter, and a small smile spread across her face. The next day, Rose went to the market with a renewed spirit. She felt lighter, stronger. The envelope from the man had eased her worries, at least for now. She sold her oranges with a brighter smile, and people noticed. Children ran to her store, laughing and buying small fruits. She laughed along with them, feeling joy she hadn't felt in months. Even the regular customers seemed to treat her better, as if they could sense her changed energy. At home, she showed her mother the money. Her mother's eyes filled with tears. "God will bless the child who helped you," she said softly. Rose nodded, grateful, but still humble. Every night, she prayed, thanking God for the blessing and asking for strength to keep helping others. She knew that being kind could sometimes be lonely, but the reward would always come in one way or another. Rose felt a spark in her heart. For the first time in a long time, she dared to dream a little bigger. Maybe one day, she could live without fear and hunger. Weeks passed, and Rose continued her daily routine. The man she had saved visited sometimes, checking on her and her mother. Each time, he left some money or small gifts, always saying it was from someone who was grateful. Her mother grew stronger with proper medicine, and Rose found it easier to focus on selling her oranges. Life was still not perfect, but it felt manageable. The feeling of hope was new and exciting. One afternoon, the man returned with an offer. "I have a project in town. I could use your help," he said. Rose blinked in surprise. "Me? Why?" he smiled. "Because I trust you. You showed courage and honesty. That is rare." Rose hesitated, unsure what he meant. But she felt a pull inside her, telling her to trust him. "Okay," she said finally. The man's smile grew brighter, and Rose felt a wave of excitement mixed with fear. That day, she went home with more than money. She went home with hope that her life could change even more. Rose started helping the man with small tasks for his business. She delivered packages, organized files, and even helped with accounts in a simple way. The man was patient, teaching her everything slowly. She learned quickly, surprising herself with her own intelligence and dedication. Each day, she felt more confident, realizing that life could be bigger than she had imagined. Her mother watched proudly as Rose returned home, often tired but smiling. "You are becoming someone important, my child," she said. Rose laughed softly. "I'm just trying my best, Mama." The neighbors noticed the change too. People began treating her with respect, asking her advice, and buying her oranges more often. Small changes made a big difference in her world. For Rose, the days no longer felt heavy. Work was hard, but the joy of learning and helping the man gave her energy she never knew she had. One morning, Rose received a message from the man asking her to come to his office. She felt nervous but curious. She arrived to find the office tidy, and a small gift box on the table. He gestured to it. "This is for you," he said. Rose opened it to find new clothes, shoes, and a small amount of money. "You deserve better," he said simply. Tears filled Rose's eyes. "I don't know how to thank you," she whispered. "You don't need to," he replied. "Just keep being good, and life will continue to reward you." Rose left the office that day feeling like her life was slowly turning around. She understood that small acts of kindness could change the course of everything. Even on the way home, she felt lighter, walking past the busy streets with new hope in her heart. Rose began waking up earlier, preparing herself and her mother for the day. She worked with more focus, her eyes bright with determination. The small rewards she received made her feel motivated to keep giving her best. Her mother's health improved steadily. Rose no longer had to worry constantly about medicine or food. She finally had time to dream bigger for both of them. Her neighbors began noticing her transformation. People who once ignored her now greeted her warmly. Rose realized that kindness and hard work did not go unnoticed, even in small communities. The man's support continued quietly. Sometimes it was money, other times advice or guidance. Rose understood that life had its way of rewarding those who remain honest and humble. She started thinking of new ways to expand her small business, imagining a future where her family could live comfortably. With her growing confidence, Rose moved to a bigger stall in the market. She arranged her fruits neatly, and the customers responded positively. Sales increased, and people started recommending her to others. She hired a small helper, another girl from the neighborhood, and trained her in the way she had learned to treat customers. Rose felt proud to share what she knew. The little gestures of the man's kindness were paying off in ways she hadn't imagined. She was learning responsibility, leadership, and the importance of helping others grow. Her mother watched with pride, often saying, "See how God rewards patience and kindness." Rose would smile quietly, grateful for the journey she had started with a single act of courage. She started believing that life could be good for those who never stopped doing the right thing, no matter the struggle. Over time, Rose became known in her community for her honesty and hard work. People trusted her, not just as a seller, but as someone reliable and kind. Neighbors often came for advice, seeking her opinion on matters big and small. Rose felt proud, but remained humble, remembering the man she had helped. Her mother's health was fully restored, and Rose had even managed to save a small amount for emergencies. Life no longer felt like a daily struggle. The man occasionally checked in, but he allowed her to grow on her own. Rose felt empowered, realizing that the true reward of kindness was seeing her life transform gradually. Her confidence grew, and she started thinking bigger, dreaming of opening a proper shop and employing others from the neighborhood. One day, a wealthy-looking woman stopped by Rose's market stall. She looked around with interest and smiled. "I've heard about your honesty and hard work," she said. "I think we can work together." Rose was surprised but listened carefully. The woman explained that she was starting a small business and needed someone reliable to help manage sales. Rose's eyes widened. This was more than she had imagined. She agreed, excited and nervous. "Thank you for trusting me," Rose said. The woman nodded. "Your reputation precedes you. People respect honesty, and you have it in abundance." That evening, Rose shared the news with her mother. "Mama, things are changing," she said. Her mother hugged her tightly. "I am proud of you, my child. God has been faithful." Rose smiled quietly, thinking back to the day she had helped a stranger in the rain. That single act had set everything in motion. With her new role, Rose's days became busier, but more fulfilling. She managed orders, helped organize products, and trained others to follow proper procedures. Her confidence grew as she realized she could handle more than she had thought. The community began seeing her not just as a fruit seller, but as a role model for young women. She still visited the man she had helped, checking in and learning valuable lessons about business and life. His encouragement kept her motivated. Evenings were quieter now. She had money for her mother, herself, and could even save a little. Life was changing, step by step. Rose often thought about how one act of kindness had unlocked this new path. It made her more determined to help anyone in need. Not everything was perfect. Rose faced difficulties in her new role. Sometimes employees were careless, or customers were rude. Yet, she remembered the lessons she had learned: patience and kindness always yield results. She addressed problems calmly, helping her staff learn from mistakes instead of punishing them. Her fairness earned respect and loyalty. One evening, the man she had saved came to check in. "I see how far you've come," he said. "I am proud of your courage and humility." Rose smiled, feeling both proud and grateful. She faced challenges with a new mindset. Life could be hard, but every problem was an opportunity to learn and grow. Even in struggles, she found joy, knowing her hard work and kindness were paying off in ways beyond money. With the man's guidance, Rose finally opened a small shop. It was clean, organized, and welcoming. Customers loved it, and business flourished quickly. Her helper from the market now had a proper role, and other young people from the neighborhood came to learn from Rose. She was creating opportunities for others, just as the man had created opportunities for her. Her mother often visited, smiling proudly at the shop. "This is your reward for all your kindness," she said. Rose nodded, silently thanking God for guiding her steps. The neighborhood looked at her differently now. Respect and admiration replaced the old indifference. Rose felt fulfilled, knowing her life was changing positively. She realized that helping the stranger had started a chain of blessings that now touched many lives.